You ever have that feeling in a conversation, that nagging sense that you're missing something? Like there's a whole other story happening right under the surface, but you just can't see it. Well, you're not wrong. Turns out most of what people are really communicating has almost nothing to do with the words they're saying. So today, we're going to build a toolkit, a practical set of mental tools to help you finally see the story behind the story.
So let me just ask you straight up. Are words the whole story? Come on, we all know the answer to that is a hard no. We get so hung up on what people say, but their real motivations, their true feelings, well, those are usually hiding in plain sight, just not in their speech.
And this gets right to the heart of everything. On one side, you have the script, what people say, but on the other, you have the performance, what they actually do. And the most valuable insights, the things that really tell you what's going on, are almost always found in the gap right between those two. That's where we're going to focus. Okay, so tool number one in our kit is all about learning to spot patterns. See, every single person, you, me, everyone we know, we all operate on these predictable loops of behavior. And they're not random at all. They're basically programmed into us by our life experiences.
Yeah, see, someone's behavior in any given moment is never just an isolated event. It's a direct result of their entire history, their unspoken emotional needs, and whatever's going on in their head right now. You could almost say that who they are today is just a summary of everything that's happened to them up to this point.
Let's make this super practical. Imagine you have a friend who just flips out over any small correction. Okay, so step one, the trigger is you pointing out a mistake. Step two, the behavior is they get angry and start to argue. But what's the real pattern here? The thing under the surface. It might be a deep, powerful need to avoid feeling wrong, maybe because of something in their past. Once you see that pattern, their reaction isn't a surprise anymore. It's totally predictable.
And once you start looking, you'll see these patterns everywhere. You know that person who says, "Oh, I don't care what people think," but then you know they're stewing over a tiny comment for weeks? Or the colleague who's the life of the party on Friday night, but quiet as a mouse in the office? These aren't contradictions, they're clues. They're telling you what truly drives that person.
So, tool number two builds on that. It's all about what happens when there are no words at all. Because if words aren't the whole story, then what is? A lot of the time, it's body language. And these silent signals, they tell a way more honest story than carefully chosen words ever could.
Just think of it like this. Engagement closes the physical distance. When someone's interested, they literally lean in. They make themselves more available. But discomfort? Discomfort creates distance. They lean back, their eyes start scanning the room, they start fidgeting, they are subconsciously looking for a way out. These are the signals that reveal what's really on their mind.
But listen, there is one golden rule here, and you have to remember this. Never, ever trust a single gesture. Someone crossing their arms could just be cold, right? The real key is to look for clusters of signals. So arms crossed, plus a tight jaw, plus avoiding eye contact. Okay, now you've got a much clearer story. You're probably looking at some serious defensiveness.
So we've looked at what people do and how their bodies react. Our third tool digs even deeper to ask the big question, why? And underneath all the complexity of human beings, almost every single action we take boils down to two simple, incredibly powerful forces. And here they are. It really is this simple. Every decision we make is an attempt to either move towards something that feels good, pleasure, or move away from something that feels bad, pain. That's it. That's the entire game. And once you start looking at people's actions through that lens, trying to figure out which force is at play, their choices start to make a whole lot more sense.
I mean, just think about an office. You've got one person who is all about moving toward pleasure. They want the thrill of success, the recognition. They literally run towards new challenges. Then you have their colleague who is driven by avoiding pain. They are terrified of failure, of being criticized. They run away from responsibility. Same job title, but their motivations are coming from completely different planets. And understanding that is, well, it's a game changer. All right, for our final and maybe the most profound tool in the kit. If we know that people are always moving toward pleasure and away from pain, what actually determines what they find pleasurable or painful at any given time? For that, we need a kind of blueprint for human priorities. It all comes down to this. What a person cares about most depends entirely on where they are in their life's journey. It's pretty simple, actually. You can't be worried about your life's purpose if you're worried about where your next meal is coming from. Our priorities are stacked in a very clear hierarchy. And this is that famous hierarchy from Maslow. At the very bottom, the foundation, are our basic survival needs: food, water, shelter. Once that's covered, we move up to needing safety and security.
Only then can we really start focusing on finding friends, relationships, a sense of belonging. After that, we chase esteem. We want respect, we want to achieve things, and then, only at the very top, if everything else is sorted, can we focus on self-actualization, becoming the best version of ourselves. If you can figure out where someone is on this pyramid, you'll know what drives them right now. So, how do we put all this together? How do we become a better observer? Well, one of the most powerful ways to see all these patterns and motivations in action is to watch how people protect their own ego. These little defense mechanisms are like bright, flashing neon signs pointing directly to their deepest insecurities.
And these aren't some complex Freudian concepts, they're things we see every day. Denial is just flat out refusing to believe something that's painful but true. Projection, that's when you blame someone else for the exact feeling or fault that you have. And rationalization, oh, that's the art of making up perfectly logical-sounding excuses for our screw-ups. We all do this stuff, and when you see it, it's like you're getting a little peek behind the curtain.
And this right here might be the most important part of this whole thing. When you see someone using one of these defenses, you are not seeing a character flaw. You are seeing a wound. You're seeing the exact spot where that person is trying to protect themselves from pain. And shifting your perspective to see it that way, well, that's the absolute foundation of real empathy.
So, there you have it. That's your observer's toolkit. Let's recap. Number 1, look for the behavioral patterns, not just the words. Number 2, decode the clusters of nonverbal cues. Number 3, ask yourself, are they moving toward pleasure or away from pain? And number 4, try to figure out what level of need they're focused on right now. Put it all together, and you get empathy.
And let's be crystal clear about why we're doing this. This toolkit is not a weapon. It's not for judging people or for trying to manipulate them. It's for understanding them. Because genuine understanding is the only path that leads to real, meaningful connection.
So I'm going to leave you with this one question to think about. This kind of knowledge is really powerful. Now that you have a framework to see and understand people on a much deeper level, how are you going to use it?